Now, I'm going to discuss how we write present perfect in affirmative sentence, in negative sentence, and interrogative sentence. Affirmative means a simple positive sentence, and negative, you already know, is a negative sentence. And then interrogative means a question. So let's find out more about this. Here you have it on the slide. You can see affirmative is the positive, negative is here, and question is here. Now, how we write it is we write the subject first, then we write has or have. So I'm going to write it here. We write subject, then we write has or have. Now, I hope you remember the singular subjects in third person. When we have he, she, it, they will use has, and when we have I, you, we, and they will use have. And after this, we use the third form of the verb. Remember, some grammar will call it past participle. So we have a base form of verb, we have a past form of verb, and then we have the past participle form of verb, which is also called first form, second form, and third form. So we use the third form, means past participle form with. So here you can see subject first, and then have or has, and then we have the third form of the verb. Most of the verbs, I hope you remember, use ed if they are regular. If they are not regular, then they will change the spelling within themselves. So you can see here, eaten, jumped, cooked, written, flown, shouted, drunk. So some of the verbs use ed, some of the verbs don't. That's because some verbs are regular verbs take ed, but irregular verbs don't. Okay, so look at this now. I have jumped. This is the positive sentence. You have eaten. Now look at these ones. He, she, it. You have has after them, and then third form of the verb. So he has cooked, she has written, it has flown. So here, because these are third person singular subjects, we use has. Okay, but for the subject I, for the subject you, and for the subject we and they, we use have all the way. We have shouted, you have drunk, they have opened. This is how we write present perfect tense in positive. The negative is, always remember, we introduce the not, negative not, after have or has. So you write the subject first, then have or has, and then you write negative not. Now you can actually write it in short. Negative not, when you write it in short, it should be like this: N apostrophe B, okay, with have or has. So I haven't jumped, you haven't eaten, he. Now look at this one. This one is, these are actually in hasn't. That's because these subjects are third person singular subject. He, she, it. When we have he, she, it, we use has. Or name of one person. So he hasn't cooked, she hasn't written, it hasn't flown. Just like that, we haven't shouted, you haven't drunk, they haven't opened. We, you, and they will take have after them. And then after that, the negative not verb, and then remember, third form of the verb, that is the past participle. I hope you remember from the present simple tense that we always use the verbs before the subjects to make questions in yes, no. So you write the be verbs, you write the auxiliary verbs or the helping verbs always before the subject, and that will be your yes, no question. So you can see, have I jumped, have you eaten, has he, has she, has it. So here you have has. That's because I told you the subjects are third person singular. Right? Has he cooked, has she written, has it flown. For the subjects we, you will maintain with have we, have you, or have they, and then the third form of the verb with the question mark at the end. I hope this is clear to you how we write present perfect tense in affirmative, in negative, and interrogative. Have questions, you can write them in the chat box for me. Now, what forms of verbs are needed? This is what I have already explained in previous slide, but just for your more easier understanding, I have created this slide. So you can see here, third form of the verb is needed with has or have, and the third form of the verb is actually the past participle form of the verb. We also call it third form of the verb. These verbs have ed at the end most of the time if they are regular verbs, okay? But if they are irregular verbs, the word will change altogether, and then you will have a new word for it. So let's see more. You have singular subjects which are third person singular, he, she, or it, or name of any person, animal, or thing. If you have this, then we use has, and after has we use the third form. Okay, use the third form. So for example, Ali has eaten lunch. Ali is one person who is not you, who is not me, who is a third person and singular. That's why we are using has. If I say he, the answer will remain the same. If I write she, is still we have to say she has eaten, something like that. Now, if you look at this example here, if the subjects are other subjects like I, like we, like you, and like they, and if you have more than one person's name or one animal's name, if you have more than one of those, then you have to use have after them. So for example here, we have played football. I can also say I have played football. I can also say you have played football, or they have played football. Or I can say Ali and Salim have played football. So here you can see we have more than one person, which is plural. So if you have a plural subject, you should use the verb have after them, and then you use third form of the verb and finish off with the object. So this is how you write it. I hope that is clear. If you have any questions, write them in the chat box for me. Now this is the important part. Most of the time we face the problem as to where we should write present perfect tense. What time and how do we know that we have to write in present perfect tense? I've already explained that in the first two slides, but this is where you will learn about the time words, the words that give you the idea that you have to write in present perfect. So here we are. You can see this slide, I hope it's there. The word just, the word ever, the word already, the word never, and the word yet. Whenever you see these words in any sentence, you've got to write it in present perfect, because these are the time words, the time expressions that do not tell you a specific time like 9 o'clock, Sunday, Monday or so. They tell you about time, but they do not clearly tell you what time. So whenever you have a vague time expressions like these, use present perfect tense. For example, he has just arrived from New York. Now this word just can mean maybe a few minutes ago, or an hour ago, or yesterday, or day before yesterday, or a month ago. You see, the time is not absolutely, but the idea is very, very recent. It happened maybe very close to now. So when we refer to such actions, we use present perfect tense. And remember, this word just is always used in positive sentence. Don't write it in negative or in question. Next, we have ever. The word ever, we always use it in a question to interrogate or to ask about life experience. So, have you ever been to London? Have you ever eaten sushi? So that these questions are actually asking you about your life experience. And you have to remember, we don't write it in negative, we don't write it in positive. We always use ever in question. Okay? Always in. Next, if you see, she has already read the book. So you see here, already is used in positive sentence. The word never is also used in positive sentence only. My friend has never seen me mad. Now I want you to see one thing there here. The word just is written before the third form. The word ever is written before the third form. The word already is also written before the third form. And if you look at here, the word never is also written before the third form of the verb. But the word yet is the only word which goes at the end of the sentence. Okay? And you use it in what you call negative and question only. You don't write it in positive sentence. Have you graduated yet? I haven't finished it yet. So the word yet goes at the end of a question or of a negative sentence. Okay? Next we have the since and for. Since will give you the idea when an action has started, but it's not finished. It's in continuous. Okay? But for is giving you the idea that time has started at one point and it has finished at another point. For example, 8 o'clock and 10 o'clock. How long was the time? It's 2 hours. So 2 hours is actually a period or a duration of time. So when we refer to durations or periods of time, we use the word for, but when we refer to the starting point of a time or an action, we use since in present perfect tense. And we can use these two in all types of sentences, positive, negative, or questions. So here I have known Tiago Mushi since February. That means I started to know him in February and I still know him. I can't say that I don't know him anymore. So something that is still in the process. It's not complete. Okay? And that's why we use since. But if you look here, she has wanted to buy that house for years. Years is a countable time, and it's actually talking about a period. Years, that means more than 1 year, and in 1 year you have 12 months, okay, 52 weeks or 365 days. So it's a long period. Refer to periods when you refer to durations, and when you refer to starting point of time, you use in present perfect.